So we're going to start with that anniversary.
Well, last year was the 10th, and I didn't manage to come for the 10th. Apparently, it was time again that I came over here. But really, the reason was because of my, friend and great press agent Ronnie Jason, who, did so much for this festival and did so much for me and did so much for composers. So that was important to go and say goodbye in a good way.
And what do you think in those last 10 years of the evolution of the music and the system in Hollywood?
I have no idea. I've been really busy, so it's very hard. If you're in the eye of the hurricane, you don't really, you can't really tell. So it's more important to see how other people feel about it. And all I try to do is I try to sort of evolve a little bit, or as much as I possibly can, and still come up with ideas and not sound like I'm bored with it. And I think that's important.
Today, how do you feel? More like a European in the US or more like an American here? Or
well, I've been back in London for 3 months now, 4 months really, and I feel very European. I never feel like an American. I don't think. I think part of the job is to preserve being a European who observes America, and because of that, you can go and comment on it in an interesting way, make it interesting for Americans.
It's part of your sensibility.
I think so, and at the same time, I deal with incredibly American subjects like Batman, which is directed by an Englishman, and the lead character is played by a Welshman, and Michael Caine is from London, and the editor is Australian, and but we're doing it's very but that's what we do. We are very international. We comment on America, and then at the same time the way we comment on America is our way of commenting on the world.
For the evolution of your participation in different kinds of media, we saw you, of course, in cinemas. We have known you a long time ago for pop. You went to video games, TV. Do you see yourself in some other medias in the time to come?
Well, there are all sorts of interesting things. I mean, technology is bringing. We did an Inception application for the iPhone, which I thought was really much more fun than doing a soundtrack album. I want to explore how we can take these things further. There are all sorts of ways you can interact with people these days that you could never do before. And I think there are ways of making the music take on different shapes and different forms, which you could never do before. I mean, at its most simplistic, let's say I release a soundtrack as an app for the iPhone. Because it's the iPhone, it knows when it's morning and when it's night where you are. So maybe in the morning you want to hear something a little bit more exciting than at night, before you go to sleep. So it can steer that a little bit. Where we started having fun with the Inception app was that, when you were sitting down it was different than when you were moving, and certain things would only happen in certain places, and it used the GPS. So there's one track you can only hear in Mombasa at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I actually know a photographer who went to Mombasa to shoot some photos. And partly the reason he went was because he wanted to see if it really worked.
That's important for you, that interaction between your music and the people who listen to it.
Yeah.
It's something new.
Yeah, you know, and I'm trying to figure out how to include, how to make the world a band, basically. You know, I think that there's something cool about collaborating with people who are not just musicians, but with the rest of the world. You know, and I think, and to open the thing up. You know, I mean, the reason we did the Inception premiere the way we did it with doing the little show and broadcasting it live over the internet that night was because it seemed ridiculous that we make a movie for the world, and then the first time anybody gets to see it, we don't actually let anybody come into this world because it's a premiere and there's a rope and, you know, it's VIP, and so we thought that was bullshit and there was a better way of doing it.
So maybe the security line is today what you dislike the most in that Hollywood system.
But yes, but you know, the cool thing about the Hollywood system is that you can go and kick the doors down in Hollywood and say, hey, let's go and do this show. And I mean, we thought about it 2 weeks or so before the premiere, and everybody goes, oh, that's a good idea, and they jump to it, and you can get it done. It wasn't easy to put together. You know, and one of the things I truly love about Hollywood is that there are two things really. One is there's so many talented people there. So if you want to do something, you can find the best at what they are right there, and you can, when you have the idea, you can go and make the idea happen. And the other thing is that the studios realize, sometimes consciously, sometimes not so consciously, that they need to encourage you to fail, that they need to give you the courage to try things that might go wrong, because otherwise nothing will move forward, nothing will develop. And I found in Europe that was much harder. You know, if you everybody tries hard. There's no, laziness is terrible, but I don't think people are really lazy when they write music or try to make a movie. It's very hard work. But sometimes when you have something fail, it means something slightly different in Europe. In America, I mean, I've seen days before a movie comes out, the studio knows, it's not going to do well, and they're already talking to the director about his next movie. That's sort of because they know he learned something. This was a failed experiment. It's okay.
You are also known for many collaborations, and one particular this few last year is Lorne. What makes you choose this collaborator as another one, and what makes it so complete?
Well, okay, it's really simple. It's all the people I picked to work with are really talented, but some are just more fun to hang out with as well. Because it's like our life is going by while all this is going on. So, you want to surround yourself with people that you have fun with. And I don't know if you met Lorne, but you can have some fun with him. No, he's great. And like Harry and John Powell, Nick Lenny Smith, I mean, Gavin Greenway, they're all people I like spending time with. As the seconds of my life are ticking away, you want to be able to be in the company of your friends.
It's something, a spirit that you kept from the band days?
It's from the band days and from Stanley Myers, because he was very gracious and, straight away, I was his assistant, and, on the first day he introduces me to directors and he lets me do all these things. I mean, he never, I hate the idea of the ghost writer. Somebody who never, gets acknowledged and people don't know they exist, and I think I like anonymity more than I like it for the people that I work with. I want people to know that Lorne Balfe is an amazing composer and is important in this process.
We are going to ask you something a little bit out of your work. What do you play when you want to listen to music?
Oh, when I listen to music? Depends on my mood, My favorite list changes all the time, but Manu Chao, because Mano Negra, I think if you feel down, if you feel slightly depressed or anything like this, life isn't going well, if you put on a Mano Negra CD, by the end of it, you'll be happy. You know, you know, so yes, you know, I can give you all those other answers. Yes, I listen to Brahms, Beethoven, Wagner, Kraftwerk, you know, whatever's going on, you know, the Clash. But really, you know, every once in a while, I just always go back to Manu Chao.
For you, what is next? We know about, of course, Sherlock Holmes 2. We know about Madagascar, who is coming. For the next composition you're going to...
What am I doing? I'm doing Sherlock right now, and then I'm doing Dark Knight. Then I'm working with Guillermo del Toro. Then I have a few things which I shouldn't talk about yet.
Is it something like some sample, some of your backup sounds?
No, never. Never. No. No, I mean, yeah, I don't understand why people don't just go and do their own. I think it's really important to make your own sounds. It's not hard, it's not difficult. And how can you get good at it if you know, everybody's starting to sound the same with these sample libraries. I was judging a competition for young film composers, and after listening to 20 pieces of music, I couldn't tell anymore if it was a new piece or not a new piece, because everybody was using the same samples. So everybody started to sound the same. You know, it was useless. It's just like, you know, go and make your own. Don't sound like everybody else. You know, I mean, and you will sound like everybody else if you know, it's you know, I was trying to say this in the press conference. It's not about saying, you know, oh, I'm going to put strings on this track. It's like, who are you going to put on this track? Be specific about the players who make. They're musicians. They're souls. They're cantankerous people with a point of view that make this noise. You know, so know who's going to make this noise.
And to finish, could you talk to us about your charity works?
No, I don't want to. Well, I'll tell you a little. What I will say to you is, I try not to talk about it because I think, you know, everybody at a certain point in their life suddenly starts doing charity work. But I'm in a position where, you know, I can make a difference. I can get telephone calls returned, and it's important to me that, you know, I use some of the incredible luck I had to just go and help other people out, but I'm trying to be a little anonymous about it. And so we started a part of the studio, and everybody gets really excited at the studio about it, you know, where rather than putting money into things, you know, we put ideas into things. But, you know, it's good to write a piece of music for Amnesty or for a documentary or something like this, because why shouldn't I use, you know, the power I have to get people to feel something for something that is important to me, you know, as opposed to just movies.